I think we have a talented group. I think we've got two very good point guards in Jonathan Stark and Bryce Jones. I like our athleticism on the wing. I think we have good size up front. I think we need to continue to show massive amounts of improvement at the defensive end of the floor. I think we've proven we have a pretty efficient offensive team. Right now averaging over 80 points a game and shooting the ball relatively well. Minus one game, done a nice job taking care of the ball. But I just keep coming back to the defensive end of the floor, and I know rebounding is another important area where we have to show a lot of improvement here as we enter December.
You talked about rebounding, and those interior guys are going to have to step up. How much emphasis have you guys put in on trying to get guys like Breon and Terrell to go inside more and post up?
Well, I think it's important. At the defensive end of the floor, the rebounding is not just the responsibility of the big guys. I've said it for the last week. I think a lot of our rebounding issues have been caused by our inability to guard the basketball, and it's put us in a lot of rotations and scramble situations where box outs become more difficult because you have guys who are now out of position. So I think that's a big step for us, is to get better, not only individually guarding the basketball, but collectively as a team, containing the ball and keeping the ball out of the painted area so much. At the offensive end, I want Terrell Miller to be aggressive down in the paint, posting up. Would like for Breon, Gilbert, Jalen to continue their development there in the post. And then I think, we talked about it after the game. Post touches are important, but the terminology I'm more concerned with is paint touches. And so those can come through either post feeds or dribble penetration of our guards, offensive rebounds. Just always been a big believer the team that wins the paint usually wins the game.
Breon hurt his knee last year. He's coming back from that. How would you evaluate his play so far?
Well, I think he's progressing nicely. I think excuse me, Will. I think it would be really short-sighted of me to expect him to be out for 8 months, get cleared for 5-on-5 play the week before our first exhibition game, and come back and play at the same level he played against Morehead State last year before the injury. So I think he's gaining confidence in his knee. I think I think Saturday he played with more energy at both ends of the floor. But he gives us a great presence defensively with his size and athleticism up front, and really looking for him to continue to grow and get better each time we take the floor. That's tough. I mean, you talk about missing 8 months, and then you come back and you're right into it. I think it's going to take him a little time to get back to that level he was playing before the injury.
Coach, it's kind of a role that every team has. I'm not sure if this team has it, but maybe you can explain. Who can you rely on as like a sixth man at this point? You've got a guy like a Ja'Kai Taylor who in 55 minutes is starting to really show some things. Now G's back. Grace has shown some things. Dondre's shown some things. How do you carve out that role as far as a six-man is concerned?
Well, I think ultimately, whether it's as a starter or a six-man, G. McGee, as he gets back healthy, is a proven player at this level. 10 points a game, 5 rebounds. He'll soon be a 1,000-point scorer. I think he's going to add not only his skill level and ability to score, but it's just his experience. I think is something that's going to be very important for us. Understanding defensive coverages, understanding style of play. He's a fifth-year college senior, and that gives you an advantage over freshmen. But I have been extremely pleased with Ja'Kai Taylor. Very coachable, relentless work ethic, lives in the gym. Just really, he's hungry to get better, and I think you're seeing incredibly efficient play out of him, and he's earning more and more time as he starts to grasp the defensive end of the floor. But offensively, has given us a huge spark.
What's the biggest challenge SIU will pose for you?
Well, I think their starting five is tremendously balanced. All 5 guys are basically double-figure scorers, anywhere from 10 points a game up to 15. I think you have to start with SIU with Mike Rodriguez, point guard, exceptional speed off the bounce, really makes them go. He lives in the lane, off ball screens and dribble penetration. I think Sean O'Brien, they're starting four-man's, a tough matchup because he's very skilled. They play him almost as a point forward type player. He can handle the ball out on the perimeter, very good passer. And then their two wings, both very, very good three-point shooters, both well over 40% from behind the arc. Fletcher and Vincent, who played well here last year off the bench. So I just think their balance makes them tough to defend because all five guys can score it.
You talked about your guys stepping up, especially inside, getting rebounds. SIU with O'Brien and then Teak Bowl adding this year have been close to double-double guys almost every game. How big is that in matchup going to be in that game tomorrow?
Well, I think rebounding is going to be critical. I think it's critical every game, but Bowl has done a really nice job. His wingspan's probably got to be 7'5", 7'6", has great length, athleticism, plays with a motor, really athletic around the basket. And then O'Brien, stretch four, skilled inside and out. So, I think the matchup at the 4 and 5 position will go a long way to determining tomorrow night's outcome.
Whenever Murray State plays SIU, records really don't matter. It's always a big game. It's always a tough game. What do you tell your new guys? SIU Arena is a lot like the bank and the atmosphere. What do you tell them going into a game like that?
Well, you share with them what the rivalry's meant over the years, so they have an idea of what it's all about, and they're excited about getting to participate in their first SIU Murray State game, but. Some of that stuff, really at the end of the day, every game's its own identity. I mean, it doesn't matter if you won your previous game by 30 or lost by 30. It just comes down to who's going to play better tomorrow night, whether that's us or SIU. So I don't want to overanalyze it with their guys. Our big thing right now is just, and I'm sure they tell you the same, and they're sick of hearing it, but we got to make improvement at the defensive end of the floor. And that's where we're going to continue to put our focus.
One thing you told Jeff that kind of stood out to me on the Bowling Green trip was that a lot of the mistakes that you guys were making, to fix those, they weren't really – you don't need to be athletic to do that. It was kind of, I guess, an effort or hustle. Have you seen the I guess, progress? I know it's only been a couple of days since then, but have you seen the guys put forth that extra effort?
I think we've worked hard. I think really the point I was trying to get across, in a tournament setting, it's really hard when you're making mistakes on your third game of the year and now you don't have any practice time. You turn around and play 21 hours later. It's hard to make those corrections in such a short period of time because you need reps. And we need the reps at the defensive end of the floor, understanding different ball screen coverages, understanding rotations if we do get beat off the dribble. All those things, they just take time. They take time on the practice floor. They take time in the video study. Our guys are committed to working hard. It's a fun group to coach. I think we're getting better and making progress. And now, the challenge for us is now can we go on the road against a very good basketball team and compete? And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, how much progress we've made in the last week tomorrow night.
Coach, can you just talk a little bit about DeMarcus Croker's start this season? He's shooting the ball at a high level at every facet, free throw, three-point, and he seems to be your only defender not fouling anybody. Just talk a little bit about what he's been able to give this team.
Well, DeMarcus has been fantastic. I think it's a product of his off-season. Worked extremely hard. I thought he really improved his consistency in all areas. Work ethic to just day-to-day operation. He's been incredibly consistent. His mindset is where it needs to be. He's taken on a leadership role within the team. He sets the example in practice for how we need to do things. And so I think his performance on the game floor has been a product of all that work and commitment he's put in. But he's been outstanding. He's our best defender. And then at the offensive end of the floor, shooting it very well from three. He's taking good shots, but he's so gifted as an athlete. I think he's doing a nice job attacking the basket. I want to see him start to get rewarded more and get to the free throw line more. because I think he is a hard cover off the bounce. But I can't say enough positive things about what he's bringing to our team right now.
Bryce Jones started the season back from three, didn't really shoot very well at the beginning of the season from behind the arc. Last week he shot 44% in the 2 games that you guys played. Is he starting to turn a corner this season?
Yeah, I think so. I think, Bryce is one who we averaged it out. He shot somewhere around 500 to 600 shots a day the entire off season. I mean, he lived in the gym. We had to kick him out of there some. And so he's worked extremely hard. And I just feel like early was pressing a little too much, putting too much pressure on himself to make every shot. I think the last 2 games he's been more relaxed on the floor, letting the game come to him. He's a really good player, can really shoot the ball, and I think he's going to have a great senior year. But no, you're right, over 50% from the floor the last 2 games, 44 from 3. Really doing a nice job. Had 10 assists in the Bowling Green game. So, and then the other thing I got to say about him, I thought in the first half Saturday night gave us a huge lift with his defense. Had 4 huge steals that led to 8 transition points in a short spurt there. So I'm excited about Bryce. I think just the first few games, just pressing a little too much. I think he'll be fine.
Do you think his shot selection has improved as well?
I think so. I think last year over-penetrated at times. Got into the lane, into the traffic too much, where the 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" athletes are. I think he's done a better job. I think he also benefits. They really complement each other well. He benefits from Jonathan Stark and his ability to create off the dribble, draw help, and make good decisions. He's done a nice job of getting Bryce some better looks from 3 here in the last couple games. So I think he's going to be outstanding this year, and just needs to relax and let the game come to him.
This may sound like a silly question, but how does Stark plan on keeping a 51% three-point field goal percentage? He's shooting lights out, probably one of the best of the nation right now. How is that helping your team, and can he sustain that?
Well, you certainly hope so. I think he's another one, lives in the gym, puts in the work. Every shot you see him taking out there in the games are shots he shoots thousands of a week. So he's prepared for his opportunity. I think his shot selection from 3 has been very good. I think the thing that makes him tough is he's a good catch-and-shoot three-point shooter, but he also shoots the ball extremely well from 3 behind the arc, off the dribble, which not many people are good at. So he's got two ways he can beat you there. But with Jonathan, the thing we've talked about is continue to improve that 2-point percentage. It's down a little low, and drop the turnovers down a little bit. But he's been outstanding through 6 games.
You guys have G back now, and understand he was in a limited role against A&M. How are the players responding, like in practice, with G back on the court?
Well, I think the players respond the same every day. I mean, for us, really nobody's entitled to anything. Every day is a tryout out there on the practice floor. I think our last 5 practices have been extremely competitive. Guys are really working hard to establish their roles on the team. I mean, we're a long way from having set roles on our team. We got 2 guys played last year. Now you get G back. He played. I think guys are competing, and that's what we want. I think you see that with Dondre increased his role a little bit, and it's a product of his performance in practice. Ja'Kai is starting to increase his role, and it's been a product of his performance in practice. And now he's getting the opportunity on the game floor, and he's proven what he can do, and so his role will continue to expand.